Okay, it's day 129, and this is part one. And I had someone come to the story about Carter Page and say, "Oh, you were 19 days ahead of the Carter Page story. Fine. And you were deeper in the story, you had background on him, etc. Fine. But when have you been that far ahead of the story where 19 days is such a relief to you?" I literally just picked a day at random, and it was day 281 last year, and it's a good one. And it will show not only one, two, but three different places where the story hasn't quite broke yet, but I was ahead of the story.
With top secret access and White House visas. Well, I made the New York Times again. Trump is now kind of weighing in a little bit, talking about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and this is the article that was written today by Nicholas Fandos here on the 28th. And of course, I get called a prolific right-wing YouTube conspiracy theorist again. And I just have one question for Mr. Fandos. Would he consider the Fusion GPS article, the PP dossier article, would he consider that a conspiracy theory, or are they still backing that 100%? With the two ladies of the evening peeing on Trump's bed? And then would he consider the Jared Sexton, the driver who drove the Cadillac with Miss Veselnitskaya all around Trump rallies to try to bed Trump or one of the Trump campaign? Would he consider that great journalism? Anyway, this was an article where none of the facts of the case were mentioned. None of the facts of the stepmother being threatened with kidnapping, the stepmother being held against her will, the stepmother having her cell phone hacked, none of the car companies that they own, none of the 12 houses they own, none of the 22 businesses they own were mentioned. And of course, I asked him the question, how about those Pride hard drives? Where were they mentioned in this article? Nowhere. So again, a very one-sided article. I just wanted to talk about the Inter-American Foundation, started in 1969, sort of as a cultural exchange program, but these folks definitely came up and configured phones. If you can read their history, it started out as Mercer and Associates, and then kind of morphed into the Inter-America Group. And here's the guy who started it. Right here, he was the head of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Dan Fashel, back in 1980. Well, he started in 69, but he was head of Foreign Affairs for 10 years, 1983 to 1993. So you can read here about David Mercer and his extensive work with the DNC, with 5 different presidential campaigns. You can see that the Inter-American Foundation is very, very closely tied to the DNC if you read this bio here. And then the other thing I thought I would put on here is the Pakistan, the nations Pakistan has agreements with for dual citizenship, and the United States, you can see there, is number 15. So it would be possible for Imran to start as a Pakistani national and then get his citizenship as he was working in Congress. I won't talk too much more about the Jared Banoski and Amy Kroll, Jeff Bergen, and Miss Poe here, Tracy Poe, other than to say that this situation, this time period at the DNC that we're talking about, all these people not knowing Debbie Wasserman Schultz's password, and of course Imran knowing it, there it is. I just gave Imran a call. Imran has access to her password. She doesn't have access to the password, but Imran does, so I'll call Jeff now. So, obviously WikiLeaks proof that only Imran had Debbie Wasserman Schultz's password. Now, I never suggested that the Awans would give the WikiLeaks, give the email to WikiLeaks. Matter of fact, I made a specific email or video about that, saying that Geraldo was incorrect in that. But what I did say is the Awans were involved in this operation here, which was called Act Blue. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the Awans just added the S to do the hacking of the money coming into Bernie-crats as well as Bernie, and this will come forward. So that's just the afternoon update. We're going to do a we're going to talk about this more at 8 o'clock tonight with Jason. He's got a lot of great guests lined up, and look forward to seeing you there.
So I'll just finish off on this screen to say who got the story right and who got the story wrong. I think I got Anthony's trusted staff right. That story still hasn't come out right. I think I had McCabe right from day one. Turns out just now, 8 months later, we've got Sid Blumenthal coming into the picture. Just now, Javid is coming into the picture, but not quite yet. And Uranium One is looking like the centerpiece of the whole cover-up. So I just asked the question, who got the story right and who got the story wrong? The New York Times or George Webb?